Okay, promises will not do now. DP Singh, hold on. I'm going to bring in Hitesh Jain, partner at ALMT Legal as well. Hitesh, appreciate you joining us. As DP Singh, senior advocate at the Supreme Court, was pointing out, the court has made it clear promises will not work any longer. It's been 18 months and Subrata Roy and the Sahara Group have failed to comply with the Supreme Court's order. Where do you see this headed from here on?
According to me, Supreme Court has sent a very tough and strict message to Mr. Roy. Because by keeping him in the custody for one more day, I mean, the Supreme Court could have dealt with, okay, now that you appeared before us, there is no longer required.
But are you sure, Hitesh, that it's only one more day?
Well, now that one more day has very big significance till tomorrow, because in normal circumstances, let us assume, let us go like 5 steps backward. Suppose if Mr. Roy would have appeared on the previous date and instead of and voided the warrant, then in that case it would not have been possible to put him inside and take him in the custody to recover the amount. I don't think the Supreme Court would have walked down that path. But because the Supreme Court saw the persistent, deliberate attempt not to appear and not to comply with the order and all, so today, by even if it is symbolical by one day, I mean, if you look, I mean, since the hearing is tomorrow, so even if it is one day or it can be more, but it seems the Supreme Court has sent very strict message that unless you don't show a credible, I mean, steps or concrete steps whereby which you will repay the money, we are going to act tough, and they have put the pressure upon him. So ultimately, I mean, unless they will have to come with a plan tomorrow to really now bail him out. So it is going to, it's a very tough situation for Mr. Roy in the wake of what Supreme Court has done today.
It is a very tough situation for Mr. Roy. Hang in there, Hitesh. Let me also bring in KTS Tulsi, senior advocate at the Supreme Court. Mr. Tulsi, as most experts who have been on the show are pointing out, the Supreme Court has sent out a very strong message that promises will not work any longer. You have been in defiance of the highest court of this land, and now is the time to come to follow up your talk with action.
Right. He ought to have known this. He has brought it upon himself. There is no way you can continue to fiddle with the highest court of the land, make promises, break promises. So this is just not going to work. He has to cough up money.
Mr. Tulsi, what happens here? Because do you believe that he is going to remain in custody for the next 24 hours? Or perhaps do you believe that this could be even longer? Because as far as the repayment plan is concerned, what was proposed by Mr. Subrata Roy has in a sense been rejected by the Supreme Court today. The court wants to see a much more concrete plan from the Sahara Group. So do you believe that him being in custody is not just a matter of the next 24 hours when the next hearing takes place?
I think that he is in for a long haul. This is not going to work unless he produces the money. This just is not going to work. You can't take millions of people for a ride and then try to befool the Supreme Court. It's just not going to happen.
I believe, Mr. Tulsi, that the court has not in its order specified judicial or police custody, but Mr. Roy is already in police custody. So what happens from here on? So far, in Lucknow, he's been lodged in a forest department government guest house. What happens now? We seem to have lost KTS Tulsi. Let me go across and ask that question to Hitesh Jain. Hitesh, what happens now? Because in Lucknow, he was housed in a forest department guest house. If he does continue to remain in police custody or judicial custody, whatever the case may be, because we don't have a clarification on that so far, he of course is in police custody. Where does he go?
I think it will be either at one of the lockup closer to the court or to the jail, because
so you are saying he will be moved to a jail?
Yeah, either it will be Tihar jail or it will be one of the lockups, because that is the only notified jail which is closer to the Supreme Court.
And would you also agree with KTS Tulsi that Subrata Roy is perhaps now going to be in custody for the long haul, given the fact that you may not like to use the word reject, but the Supreme Court hasn't bought into the Sahara Group's and Subrata Roy's plans of repaying by way of sale of property or bank guarantees?
Unless Subrata Roy is ready to show the color of money to the court, that here is a concrete plan, these are the steps, I have the money, this is the plan and I'm going to pay, he is in for a long haul. I completely agree with Mr. Tulsi, because today's order, even if it is significant to put him in the custody and till the date of hearing tomorrow, is a very significant order, and the Supreme Court has really sent a tough message.
Mr. Singh, let me come back to you because we were just talking to KTS Tulsi and Hitesh Jain. Both believe that Mr. Roy is going to be in custody for the long haul and perhaps will be moved to one of the jails, perhaps even Tihar jail. I want to quickly get your comments on that because so far, after he was arrested by the UP police, he hasn't been to a lockup, he hasn't been to jail so far.
You see, he has been extended police custody, but I don't think jail is essentially the right place. Like in UP, I think he can be put in some kind of a rest house or some place.
Why would you say? Why would you say that, Mr. Singh?
It's a police custody. It does not essentially mean jail. Jail is basically a judicial custody. Police custody may or may not be a lockup.
Hitesh, you know, that's the interpretation that we were given when he was arrested by the UP police, that because it's police custody, it is left to the police to decide where they actually want to house him. But you're clear that he will be taken to jail.
Yes, because today, since he has been produced to the court, and he has to be again produced, only for the logistic reason. Therefore, I'm telling that either it can be jail or at the lockup, but certainly not at the guest house or the rest house. Because unless they put a case that there is and I don't think if that would have been the case, they could have clarified it and got some orders before the Supreme Court that he should be kept in the guest house or so. So now that he's been produced before the Supreme Court, it has to be either a lockup or before the jail.
Okay, Malvika, I want to come back to you, and we don't have Malvika at this point in time, but what I am picking up at this point is that the SEBI Council seems to have said that the verbal order has not mentioned the next date of hearing. Hitesh, very quickly, we've assumed that the next date of hearing is tomorrow, but as per the SEBI Council, and this is the information that I'm just getting, the verbal order has not mentioned the next date of hearing. What do you make of this?
Well, if there is no order of the next date of the hearing, then and since he has to remain in the custody till the next date of the hearing, then we will have to wait as to when the Supreme Court is notifying the matter. Until such time, Mr. Roy will continue to remain in custody.
The SEBI Council has apparently also said that the UP police can hand over Mr. Roy to the Delhi police. Do you believe that that is the possible logical way forward?
Absolutely right, because UP police, because he was in Lucknow, therefore he was required to be taken into the custody of the UP police. But UP police has got no role to play in Delhi. In the Supreme Court, and it will come under the
Hitesh, I'm going to ask you to hang on. Hitesh, I'm going to ask you to hang on. My colleague Nantara Rai joins us, and in fact, she is in conversation with the SEBI Council. Nantara, over to you. Give us the details.
Yes, I spoke with Mr. Datta, the SEBI Council. He's left the Supreme Court now. I was outside. So what he told me is that in the verbal order, the Supreme Court decided that Subrata Roy and two directors would have to remain in custody. He said the verbal order did not specify whether it's going to be police custody or judicial custody. But the SEBI Council is making an educated guess, and since the Supreme Court verbal order said remain in custody, it's going to be police custody. He's also not ruling out civil custody, saying the Supreme Court will come out with all the details of that in the written order. Also, they're going to be kept in custody, barring one director, Vandana Bhargav. The next date of hearing was also not pronounced in the verbal order. So we still don't know. There is certain confusion. I've been speaking to a couple of counsels who've been inside. There is an expectation that it could be tomorrow, the next hearing, but there are also some other lawyers saying that it may be day after tomorrow, in which case Subrata Roy will remain in custody for whenever that is going to be.